Let us welcome all the lads and lasses who come to share poems for the masses, from free verse, blank verse, ballads and odes, terza rimas, villanelles, and other modes, sonnets, haiku, limericks, trilles, acrostics, epigrams with rhyming phrase. We cherish all who hold their work dear and enjoy the words that come to us here. Again, we welcome the bards who share, friends and poets from everywhere.
Welcome to episode 34 of You're the Poet, the poetry podcast featuring you. I'm host Matt Burgio, and I'm here with co-host Phil Burgio. Phil, welcome.
Thank you. Glad I'm here.
Here at You're the Poet, our purpose is to share our love of poetry with the world and invite you to do the same. I want to start by saying thank you to all of our listeners who have made You're the Poet possible. We hope you enjoy the podcast and the poetry that is shared here. This episode is a very special episode for Phil and I. This is our anniversary special. For this episode, we welcome back previous guests of You're the Poet to share one of their poems and to tell us what they've been up to in the world of poetry. To start things off, I'm going to turn it over to Phil to say a few words and to share his poem for the episode. Phil?
Yes, I'm kind of pleased that we've been doing this for a year and it's been successful. I'm going to read a poem. It was just a dream, and it came to me kind of in a dream. It was just a dream. It was just a dream, but she was there in my room with perfumed hair. The whiff of rose, her favorite scent, teased my senses and my nose. It was just a dream when she sat next to me, her gentle hand upon my knee. It was just a dream when we did embrace. I felt a tear run down my face. It was just a dream. I can't let her go. It was just a dream. This I truly know. It was just a dream. Philip Burgio. Since the podcast started, I've written a lot of poems, done a lot of research on different types of poems, and read a lot of classic poems. Plus, I enjoy listening to the podcasts.
All right, I wanted to say thank you again for being the co-host here of You're the Poet.
Surprise.
I know I sprung that on you back in episode 1 a year ago.
Right.
And it's been truly a pleasure for me.
Me too. I've enjoyed it.
It's been really good, too, getting to know all of our guests. I know we've kind of become friends with some of them, and I think it's been a great community we've built here. So thank you, Phil, for helping my dream of this podcast come true.
Anytime.
I'm definitely looking forward to what's in store in the future for You're the Poet. The poem I'd like to share for this episode is called Thank You for Sharing. I was trying to think of what kind of poem I wanted to write for this episode, and if you listen to our episodes, you'll notice I say this a lot. After almost every poem that's read, I've tried to mix it up now that I've caught myself saying it, but you'll hear me say, thank you for sharing, when our guests share their poetry. And so I thought that there'd be a little humor in that, but also sincerity in saying, thank you for sharing. And so that's the title of my poem. A solo adventure. I didn't want solo. The revealing of verses, my poems, my inner thoughts, my perceptions of the inside and out. I wanted to share with the world, but would they even care? Am I even a poet? Maybe a nobody poet. But I published a podcast for poets and poems, an online production giving balladry a home. A solo adventure. I didn't want solo. So, I found me a guest, and he never guessed that in recording the pilot, he'd become the co-pilot, co-hosting the show. Now my solo adventure was no longer solo. A father-son duo who went on a quest to find other dreamers and bring out their best. And find them we did from all walks of life. The quiet, the shy, the boisterous, the loud. Explorers, learners, activists, amateurs, experimentalists. All with something to say, something to express, and a desire to share. On journeys of healing, journeys of memory, journeys of joy, and journeys of journeying. A father-son duo that grew into more. A community of poets, a community of friends. To those that have joined us, whatever the cause, into our adventure you ventured through life's strengths and its flaws. You've helped us to set up a course and a bearing. Now onward we look. Thank you for sharing. Matthew Burgio. So again, Phil, and to all of our guests, and to all of our listeners, I couldn't do it without the listeners. Thank you guys for being a part of our podcast and listening to this family and community we're creating. And without further ado, we welcome back previous guests from You're the Poet. All right, guys, You're the Poet. Show us what you've got.
Hi, my name is Chris Burns. I was on the second episode sharing my poem. Here I've written one that has yet to be edited, so it's in its raw form without any type of anchor, yet I feel that the listener will be able to grasp the concepts that it deals with. It was inspired by a discussion with my uncle about mortality and spirituality. The name of it is Answer Lies Where Treetops Meet Sky. Eyes onto horizon, too far for eyes, not for wonderment. Oranges, ochres, yellows, blues, oak, maple, ash, birch, spruce. Answers lie where treetops meet sky. Light, dark, day, night, yin, yang, spectrum in between, color wheel, real time, blended by loss, love, anger, fear, forming consciousness, yearning, freedom, transcendence. Answers lie where treetops meet sky. Each season reasons to live, equally beautiful to die. Expected, unexpected, reluctant, accepting void. Close eyes, free float. Leaves brush face, feet, hands. Sunrise or set. Answers lie where treetops meet sky. The connection to the environment and the reality for the poet is where that beautiful, preferable pen tip meets the paper.
Hello, I am Mars Robinson from episode 3, and I'll be reading Conjuration. It's a poem about my mother, so hopefully you don't judge it too harshly. Okay. Conjuration. For some reason, it strikes me. It is the 23rd. It is not January, not your month, but it repeats itself in my head, a one-wheel skateboard on a motor. Your day is written on a page as a perfect numerical sequence on parchment, a page in a book bound of bat skin leather and baby hair twine. I hate you. I hate that you drove it away with so much vehemence, a ghoul sitting on the countertop before you conquered it, a bombastic light show of sparks dancing on your chest as you downed cups of turmeric, ate plates of the stuff, and sent it flying, a hissing, billowing wraith of amorphous smoke, shattering glass panes as it screamed its exit. Your conviction, a mere illusion of safety. It came back. You are reluctant to tell me that it sits on your chest, that it pants rancid down your neck, that the treatments will start and the pain will begin and the tears will flow like tree sap from a wounded tree, slow and surprisingly cool to the touch. I scratch an ear with my back leg, tell you I need to get off the phone. Your hair is blue now, and I hate you for that too. To be raised by whimsy, to be held by the fantastic, and now reminded of the mundane things, the bad things, like this. It sparks my lupine rage with a ferocity I bite down on my chompies to swallow. If you were a wolf, like us, you'd never let it catch you. You'd burrow in the ground at the sound of its feet dragging autumn leaves. You'd run to the rivers you know, smooth pebbles embedded in the soles of your wet feet. You'd press your cool nose against tree bark for the smell of rat moss where it had been. Don't you realize we are a pack? Don't you know that I am a wolf, as my father is a wolf, as his father that left him 13 full moons ago? Don't you know that wolves mate for life? Don't you know that a wolf made lone will bite its own paws until blood runs, scratch its own coat until skin shows? If you were a wolf, you'd run. You run and run and run. The wind would lick your wet eyes dry. The ground would clap your feet, a rhythm for your heart to beat to. If you were a wolf, it'd choke on your dust, an apparition of cell abnormalities, black cloaked with scythe in hand, tumbling into crushed foliage and wet soil, slayed by its own hand in the fall. Mommy, why can't you be a wolf like me? This poem is part of a series that I worked on in workshop studies at DePaul University. I'm currently getting my MFA. I'm on my last quarter, so I'm very excited. I was writing a series of poems in which my mother was cast as this witch and my father was cast as a wolf, right? And it was a great experience. The course was with Mark Turcotte, who is a very gifted poet. I learned a lot in that time. And I think because of that, I was able to express how I felt when I found out my mother had multiple myeloma again, that, it had come back. And that was a very hard process for me. So this poem is kind of the product of that. Thankfully, she'll be right there June 15th when I graduate. I'm very happy and thankful for that. And I'm thankful for this opportunity to read this poem as well. And as always, thankful to You're the Poet, the excellent podcast. Thank you so much.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Phil. Brett Eldridge here from episode 5. Thanks so much for thinking of me and inviting me to be on the anniversary episode. It's been a great year listening to your podcast and all the poets and all of their stories and all the poetry and how it lends itself to get people's emotions out. And, I feel the very, very same. My wife was diagnosed with cancer back in September of last year, so it's been a struggle dealing with the anxiety, the depression of not knowing what's going on, trying to keep my twin sons going to all their events and keeping everybody's minds off of it. But, the waiting is probably the hardest part, and not knowing the uncertainty of what's going to happen. So I try to get by one day at a time, and I appreciate you guys and your podcasts and all the other poets that are on there. I find a little bit of something out of everybody that I can just go, wow, everybody's amazing. This one's titled, I'm Okay. The morning comes once again, but I'm okay. I try and call, but remember that you're not there. I say that I'm okay. The boys start moving and going about their days. I'm often forgotten, but I'm okay. I look at my wife, my best friend, and I wonder if she's okay. Everyone is gone, and I'm alone with my thoughts, but I'm okay. I can't get past the overwhelming silence, but I still say that I'm okay. Brett Eldridge. And that one talks a little bit about the silence of the day, when you're alone with your thoughts, and sometimes can be your own worst nightmare or your own worst enemy. But hopefully somebody can get something out of it. Guys, thanks for having me on. Matt, Phil, congratulations on 1 year, and keep it up.
Hey everybody, it's Mary from episode 7. I'm so excited that it's the 1 year anniversary for You're the Poet. I tried making a special poem for Matt and Phil. There's currently nothing really going on in my life that's worth sharing right now, but I am currently working on my book that will hopefully be published by the end of this year. Here's my anniversary special poem. Happy 1 year anniversary, Matt and Phil. Cheers to the bond that gives us poets a thrill. A father and son whose heart's so kind, opening doors for the voices we find. In this space we're free to share our stories, our thoughts beyond compare. Introvert or extrovert, all are welcome here. With each poem we overcome the fear. From all corners of the earth we come, no need to fear, we're all as one. Here, you'll grow, you'll learn, you'll strive. Your words are alive, helping us thrive. Bring your ballads, your stories to tell. The world is waiting, go ahead, excel. For in You're the Poet, we all have a part. a place to share what's deep in the heart. To Matt and Phil, with great gratitude we say, thanks for this space where we can relay the voices of poets strong and true. You're the poets, and we thank you. I hope you guys like it. Thank you.
Hello, You're the Poet podcast. I'm KM Weldon from episode 8, and I'm so excited to be here for this anniversary special. I wanted to read 2 poems for you from my collection called Under the Influence of Gravity. It's a collection that I released last year, but recently I kind of just secretly dropped a new edition with a couple of new poems added to it. Apparently, I still had more to write for that book, so I wanted to read something new and old for you, and the first poem is a new poem called Gin and Tears, and it goes like this. Tears dragged down by gravity, emulsified with gin. I can't be crying about you, not like this again. Should have never let you so deep, now I sulk at the evening effervescence, and forever haunted by you in my sleep. It must be unseen forces putting a glass of gin in my hands, drunk with emotions I don't understand. Nevertheless, I knew the tonic would be my enemy once my tears were dragged down by gravity. K.M. Weldon. Now, a little backstory. I started the poetry collection Under the Influence of Gravity based off a poem that I wrote a long time ago under the same name. And so Gin and Tears is kind of like me paying homage to it. It's kind of a bit of the anti-hero. It still plays with the element and the forces of gravity and where it can lead us. And sometimes it can lead us down toxic paths. And gin is personally one of my favorite little side drinks, and it has a very herbal history, so it kind of ties back into the element of earth. But my next poem, called Stir Crazy, is kind of a love letter to femininity, and it goes like this. The love I have for her involves every kind of love. She's a sky with every speck of stars, a garden of mysticism. Her presence sings through me in ways I'd never felt before, and it makes me want to tell the world. K.M. Weldon. I wrote this poem because I feel like there's always going to be a woman that we all can feel this for, whether it's our mother, our sister, our best friend, our lover. I really wanted to illustrate the feeling that comes from loving someone like this. Thank you so much for listening. Since my last appearance on You're the Poet, I've been expanding locally. I'm from Houston, Texas, so I've been expanding locally and doing poetry performances at events around town. So you may even catch me here if you ever come and visit Houston. You can get your own copy of Under the Influence of Gravity at any online bookstore, whether ebook or print. And thank you again to you guys for having me on.
Hello, this is A. Benedict from episodes 9 and 23 of You're the Poet. I want to wish You're the Poet a very happy anniversary. Thanks for sharing some great poets and poetry over the past year. Over the past year, I have continued working on different styles, trying to improve, and doing a fair amount of public readings and shows. I enjoy doing that, but probably the most exciting part of that work is meeting so many wonderful, creative, and inspirational people as I continue my own writing journey. This past summer, I published my latest book called A Return to Elysium, Racing Sisyphus Up the Mountain, which is available on hard copy and in Kindle form on Amazon. Also, please check out my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/@abenedict. Today I'm going to read a new piece of mine called Intersection. Now, a lot of times we think about where we were, where we are, and where we're headed. Well, this particular piece, Intersection, is about where all those roads converge. Stress, fear, anxiety meeting at intersecting roadways, curving, swerving, turning with trepidation along brambles of brain-corrupted pathways, diverging, driving faster, cigar smoke blowing and swirling out the window, revealing a glimpse into what may lie ahead, far past this converging, intersecting destination. Roads behind, so many miles ago. Familiar routes, feeling like years before, as memories begin to flow during this mindless, fearful, deviating drive. Wallowing in regret, speeding through stop signs, questioning life-altering transformative decisions, poor choices charting ocean crosses and voyages, bravery trying to drop anchor in tempests of contradiction. What's been done cannot be undone. This car no longer drives in reverse. Mournful dirges cannot be unsung. Roadways, like life, are distinct and diverse. Still driving, racing, pivoting, fading like the sun in the rearview mirror, looking at the road ahead, soaking in the sweet sky and scenery, no longer questioning, avoiding, or cursing, stress, fear, and anxiety meeting at intersecting roadways. A. Benedict. In closing, I think I'm speaking for many people in saying that I greatly appreciate Matt and Phil's work with You're the Poet. You guys are sharing an art form that really is and should be accessible to everyone who wants it to be. Just pick up a pen or a pencil and start writing. So again, congratulations on 1 year and wishing you both many, many more for You're the Poet. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Simon Drake, and I was a guest on You're the Poet, episode 11. I would like to congratulate Matt and Phil for the fantastic work they've done in promoting poetry and hosting their podcast show for over a year now. So that's amazing, and may this be the first of many years to come. I am going to read 2 poems for you today. One is a haiku. I never knew anything about haikus at all until I was asked to record one for You're the Poet. So thank you for getting me started in writing haikus, and I really enjoy writing them. And that's down to Matt and Phil. So thank you. So here is my haiku, and it's called Wasted. I was wondering, can I have my love back, please? The love you wasted. And the second poem I'm going to read is called Choice. This is about heartbreak, and I have experience in this, as I would imagine most people do. The great thing about a good poet is they're able to put down these feelings of pain into verse. So this poem is called Choice. The game ended abruptly. When I up and walked away, I didn't speak a single word, refusing to engage. I'd been on the losing side, in a war I didn't sign up to fight. Believing we were friends and lovers, I saw you as my guiding light. An agonizing realization hit me, watching all my chess pieces fall. My feelings just sacrificial lambs. You never loved me at all. I didn't have to make a choice, your behaviour made it for me. Only ever happy with me unhappy, setting fire to my sanity. Dreams turned into nightmares, that's what hurts the most. I didn't even have a choice. My heart saw you and chose. Thank you. In the past year, I have been lucky enough to perform and headline on many open word events across London. I have had poetry picked and published in numerous anthologies, and I hope to have my second collection out later on this year, and the title will be You Are What You Speak. Thank you, and good luck to you both for the future, and thank you to the listeners for supporting the show.
Hi, my name is Peter Rivers from episodes 12 and 31. I'd like to read you Forced in Between from my book, Storming Oblivion. I don't live within your spaces. I am the mess you make but leave no traces, weaving in and out of countless faces. You call me rude for my confidence extrude, then glorify a macho self, my cocky attitude. This crowd is growing so damn loud. This consciousness is such a disease. It does what it wants, not what I please. I stumble away into your crevasses, somehow squeezing in, regardless of my masses. I don't have to hide away in your craters or your cracks. You waste the time cutting me out and giving me the axe. Always hot on my tracks, eating crumbs from my snacks. What else am I to do? No part of me is smooth. All I am to you is ragged and jagged, fractured somehow. Endless facets, spider smashed. Wake up, sir. Where am I? Just don't try to move. Your face looks pretty beat up. Your nose looks mashed and your forehead is gashed. Do you remember how you crashed? By Peter Rivers. Since my last episode, I've just been working on my second manuscript to put out my sophomore collection of poetry. Thank you very much for letting me be on You're the Poet twice. Cheers. Much love to you all. Blessings and light.
Hey everyone, Seth Palmer here, author of Two to Look, One to See, and guest on episode 14 here on You're the Poet. Thought I'd read a new one that came to me the other day. There's no title. It goes, sometimes I fly through the galaxies as if they were my own, and so I soar and freely float, weightless escape, endless emptiness embraced. Seth Palmer. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to another year on You're the Poet. See ya.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to You're the Poet. My name is Diana Kouprina, and I was featured on episode 15 of You're the Poet. To give you a quick update, I have recently published my memoir titled Borderline, a Poetic Memoir by Diana Kouprina. And today I choose to read a poem from the book titled Borderline. I hope you enjoy it. Borderline. Always, I find myself stranded between black and white, good and bad, the razor-sharp line that slices the air, the border no one seeks, yet I walk it barefoot. Finding balance in the gray, an impossible dance. A tightrope strung between right and wrong, words hushed for fear of falling into the silence of gray, where shadows move like ghosts, the sea of black and white crashes on either sides, waves gnashing like teeth against a tightrope. Borderline. I have tumbled from this border before, flung back and forth, a tennis ball in the cruelest match. When I fell into the black abyss, I drowned in its triangle of evil, sucking in water like air, grasping for the border to hold my soul above the flood. I wandered, too, into the whitewashed brightness, where the good was no more than an empty glare, no contrast to be found within its blinding whiteness. The good did not breathe joy into me, did not drive away the fear. No, it spun me back into the darkness until I found the balance between it all. I don't mind this life on the border, between black and white, good and bad. In the shifting light of gray, my soul has learned to harden and soften in equal measure. A flicker of light, always, above the staircase I climb, barefoot still.
Hello everybody, this is Travis Hupp from episode 16 of You're the Poet, and I'd like to start off by reading a poem of mine called 87% of the Time in the Simulation. When the mood strikes its moon pole, it is a veil whose wearer doesn't weep. When they build you a statue, will you come see it, or would being photographed in front of it thumbs-upping just be too much? If they step on your fingers when you're picking up drop pens and drop whispers, tell them the monsters came for you and you're getting along all right. If they cry when they know you're looking and that makes you love them, well then love them for it. Brief the guardian of your heart's gated secrets that sometimes you find the rhyme that's welcome any time. And when you find it, you must tie it to the sturdy chair of your aw shucks disenchantment, and it will tell you its truest tale or have to get through one real bad time. That stretches over and across the glitch in the picture of the screensaver shoreline shown to the traumatized intern you psychically linked with 87% of the time in the simulation. In the backyard of tribulation, you might find a men still milling about their business, kissing blessings your best bet is believing the seat of salvation still resides in. Still and always there slouches a shadow, stutters the gallery of ghosts I get good intel from. Hard pass on back rubs, my mind's eye says to them, while right in front of me you're saying you love me, really you love me, but just not like that. Maybe he's lying, I think wildly, graspingly, and maybe you are, but even if so, I won't know unless I'm psychic like the little quiz online said I wasn't. If you know when it's done by pure instinct all the time, you're better at this than I. The end of one poem and start of another can be such thin battle lines. And that poem will be featured in my upcoming third poetry collection entitled American Entropy, which will be released in the next couple months. The official release date is still to be determined, but it is going to be soon. So keep an eye out for that. It's called American Entropy, and I'm very proud of it. And I'd just like to close by saying I really appreciate how You're the Poet keeps bringing people back for special episodes and is really creating a thriving community of diverse poets who all enrich each other, and it's a very rewarding thing. I hope that the podcast continues to flourish for many years to come. Thank you very much for letting me be part of this.
Hi everyone in podcast country. This is Ryan Mogan from episode 18. I have such wonderful memories sharing poetry and reminiscing about real ale with Matt and Phil. I'm delighted to be still writing poetry with the support of tribes of fellow creatives online in groups such as Invisible Poets. In fact, a volume of my works will be published by Wheelsong Books in the coming season. In the meantime, here's a poem about childhood, the warm embrace of family, and the ever-watchful heavens. Minding Moon. The watchful moon follows me home, as it has ever done since childhood, when I was embraced in my father's arms, late on a Friday night on the other side of closing time. When Mum and Dad would pick me up from the glowing hearth of my auntie's kitchen, where I was warmly curled in Timmy's old rocking chair after a busy evening of tea parties under the table, running a grocer's stocked with wax fruit, poking flames to dance in the coal fire, and playing affectionate games of death with the old Tom. Sleepy and snug, I wouldn't want to leave. But I'd be scooped, groggily grudging, into Dad's arms and taken out into the cut glass cold. Then he would carry me up the long hill to home as I would peer through the beery, cheery atmosphere of his panting stagger and stare at the diadem of stars that beset the sable cloths of night, glinting amidst the clouds' ermine trim, stained white by the old street lights, for this was a time before the brassiness of sodium lamps and the fading of magic from the world. These were rare nights that happened all the time, where the clouds were swift and the moon's eye fully open. At those times it seemed that the scudding streaks were still, iced into place by lunar enchantment, and the moon would race across the sky, keeping pace, wandering with us as Dad staggered a little under my weight and his measures, until we'd reach our door and I would be put on the floor as the weekly quest for the key ensued, and then into the dark house, up the steep stairs, slipping between cold sheets, knees tucked to chest, desperate not to let toes stray into the cold fringes of the bed. And outside the window, the moon came to rest, watching over my sleep, as it does now.
Hi, this is James Bryant from episodes 19 and 30. If you remember me, please don't stop listening now, because I do promise you will hear some good poetry on this podcast. but I have a new one to share with you. I'm going to give a little background on it. In episode 30, I discussed that I have issues with depression. I recently underwent a treatment that at first had miraculous results, and I felt better than I had ever felt in my entire life. Unfortunately, the results were short-lived. This experience inspired the following poem entitled, I Don't Want to Be Clark Kent. What happens once you have touched the heights of heaven? How can you then exist on earth down on the ground? You have heard the beauty of a grand symphony. Now nothing compares to that luscious sound. A life once painted in vibrant colors so bright, now drab and darkened in such drastic, stark contrast. Can you see clearly through a bank of heavy fog? Do thoughts of pure joy forever live in the past? How does one reconcile these changes easily? I am not exactly sure how that can be done, for I am the man now facing this dilemma. All I want is just one more moment in the sun. I resign myself to a life that is less lived. Perhaps the memories of greatness will fade away. I will get accustomed to this bitter normalcy. I'm afraid these sullen blues are here to stay. James Bryant. I will say the experience working with the Burgios was amazing. They are super great guys and so much fun. If you have written poetry, I encourage you to reach out to them yourselves to consider being a guest because you're the poet.
Yo, this is Amos Mkubwa from episode 21. I'm a Kenyan poet and a mentor of young poets and writers with a total number of 25 young poets under my mentorship. This is a project I've been doing for the last 3 years, and I'm gonna celebrate the love of poetry with these young celebrities on this year's World Poetry Day on 21st March. Trust you me, You Are the Poet family is a gem. Much appreciations and congrats to Mr. Matt and Mr. Phil for making this a gig. Lastly, I'm gonna present my poem special to the first anniversary of You Are the Poet, and here it goes. My poem is entitled Mind. Drink more beer and forget your problems. Stone more and more weed and overcome their challenges. Read more stuff and know more adages. Mind your brains and excel to infinity. Mind your friends when you are alive. Make your tomorrow today. Forget about the events of yesterday. Sing and listen to their hearsay. Get the bail and say to the bay. Propose to your bay and fight to the last day. I can't explain why the caged bird sings, but I can tell you what poetry to me brings. I can relate with nature, aqua, animals, and beings. The poetry that sings, making me dine with queens and kings. That is my time. Amos Mkubwa from Kenya, Ekerenyo City, Nyamira County. Welcome and much celebrated first anniversary of You Are the Poet family. Thank you and thank you and thank you.
Greetings everyone. It's David Simpson here, episode 24. I just want to say I'm very thankful that you guys are doing this podcast and the rest of you guys are listening to it, and let's spread the word if we can. In the meantime, here's something I wrote a while ago. I've edited a bit since then. It's one of my favourites. It's a bit longer than most. It's got more than 4 lines, but it still rhymes, of course. Here we go. I once went on a journey that started out from home. I thought that I might go with friends, but I set out alone. I packed my bags with confidence, and spare trousers too, and just in case of accidents, band-aids 1 and 2. A sleeping bag which won't wake up, some toothpaste made from teeth, a tent to live within intent, and stars to sleep beneath. A well to draw cool water from, a dam to give it all, a stick to rest and lean upon, and a house-trained waterfall. And now, if you would like to know just how my journey went, please write to one day long ago, marked attention, good intent. Another shortish poem. I planted a poet tree today. I watered it with rhyme, mulched with verse in a careful way, and came back after a time to see coupling couplets bursting with adjectives and verbs, pentameters rehearsing, rare rambunctious words, meters scanning marvellously, all that and so much more, until an old hack happened by and felled it with a saw. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next anniversary issue. Cheerio.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from Malaysia. I am Janet Tai from episode 25. I'd like to extend my congratulations to the You're the Poet podcast for its coming anniversary. Well, what have I been doing poetically? 3 of my poems have been in an anthology book. As to personally publish a book, I have yet to do it because a bona fide publisher said I lack certain skills, okay? But on the other hand, the Vanity Press are die-hard. They are very die-hard to get me publish my book. But I'm sorry, I told them, I can't match your US dollar. For every US dollar, I have to pay 4 times. So I have no budget there. Okay. Recently, I just came back from a tour of Italy. It was gorgeous. It was awesome, painful because of my blisters. We walked about 16,000 steps a day. But it was wonderful. It was well worth the pain. Okay, I shall recite a poem on my travels. Travel hangover. Ever since I returned from my tour of Italy and Switzerland, I have been feeling kind of odd. Oh, my body has been well rested from the jet lag. No issue with that, except I have been feeling rather flighty. Memories of my trip kept floating across my mind, especially since I'm alone all the time. Beautiful memories they were. My eyes had the opportunity to feast on 7 days of historical sites that I once learned from school textbooks. It's so very surreal for me. Then there's that fantasy wish I had carried with me throughout. The time I was there, that the one who traveled with me is the love of my life. There is a tinge of disappointment not having a loved one with me from time to time when my feet hurts. I guess I'm still feeling a hangover from that trip. For once in my life, I did something good for my birthday, and I won't let it stop. Since my birthday always falls during winter, I will plan for an advanced celebration in autumn. So, where to the next time? I think I shall head to Spain. I'm not a shopper, just an onlooker. Places of history fascinates me. In the meantime, I think I better bring myself down from cloud number 9. Still, loneliness harvests. I still have so much to share, yet no listeners. Okay, you're the poet. That's it from me. Congratulations once again on the anniversary. Ta-ta!
This is Gabrielle Myers. I was on episode 28 of You're the Poet podcast, which I love. Thank you to Matt and Phil for bringing us this wonderful podcast filled with excellent poets. It's such a pleasure to listen. This poem is from my collection, Break Self-Feed, which was published this fall by Finishing Line Press. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and anywhere you can find great books. It's called Break Self-Feed, and this poem is the first fire of fire season. Smoke blows in its charge, led by cumulus ignition explosions. Grasses once swimming in lupine fields have dried to brittle seed heads, snapping in afternoon's hot breeze. Down canyon near the spring, toads birthed in our garden weeks ago gather, wet their skins with the high Sierra's snowmelt, filtered through miles of shale and granite. What fireworks did we throw into our campfires, so intent on maintaining tradition despite potential devastation? What flares will we throw into crowds that contain our children, the throngs where we used to dance, the garden plots where we would gather with our grandparents? Our oak tree's leaves now coated in ashes' thin layer, our strawberry pots littered with burned brush particles. What water we can harness, we do. What tanks we should have filled, what ponds we should have dug, what swales we should have made around our ranches, what rivers we should have partially dammed. Our children will hide on creek banks, bury themselves in blackberry thickets on springs' edges, hold clammy toadskin to press knowledge into our human veins, to think our way to a new level of licking, of absorbing, vibrating earth, pulsing spring, burning trees left like shadows on our hillsides, still growing from their bases out. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jodi Harsh from episode 29, and I just wanted to say hello. I really enjoyed being on the podcast with you guys, and my friend Bubbles was on there with me, just giving moral support and critiquing. We both really enjoyed being on there. Right now, I'm still working on a website that will be called Harsh Words, and I am in the process of trying to get a book together. I'm having a little bit of help. I'm doing some self-publishing, so it's taking a little bit of time. I hope to roll that out on Amazon eventually, to be in both hardback, softback, or electronic. So I guess that's 3 types of ways. I also have a web page on Facebook called Harsh Words, Poetry from the Souls of Life. And I do enjoy reading other people's poetry as well. So I hope you enjoy the poem that I have dedicated to my father. The Lives He Touched, dedicated to my dad, Dave Harsh, a volunteer EMT and fireman for over 20 years. He moved through smoke like a shadow of hope, a steady hand in chaos, a heartbeat in the dark. Flames bowed before his courage, but it was the quiet moments that made him a hero. He cradled broken bodies, whispered strength into fading breath, stitched shattered souls with nothing but kindness and skill. Sirens howled through the night, but his voice was steady, a promise that help had come. 1,000 lives crossed his hands, each one a thread in the web of his purpose. Some walked away with only a scar, others carried his touch, and the generations unborn. Because he was there, a child grew up with a father. Because he was there, a mother held her baby tight. Because he was there, someone found another day, another chance to love, to give, to save. And through them, his light keeps burning, in every life they touch, in every soul they save. His hands still reach through time, not just as a fireman, not just as an EMT, but as the spark that ignites a chain of miracles. By Jodi Harsh. And y'all have a blessed day.
Hello, everyone. This is Jonathan Phelps from episode 32 of You're the Poet with Matt and Phil Burgio. I'd like to take a second to thank Matt and Phil for inviting me to be a part of this special anniversary episode of You're the Poet. The poem I've decided to share with you today is called In the Veil of Cosmic Dreams. I wrote this poem after a night of sitting on the beach staring at the stars. It explores my journey of self-discovery and contemplation as I gaze into the cosmos, seeking meaning and direction in my life. This poem delves into the themes of choice, destiny, and the perpetual hope of understanding in one's place in this universe. I find lying on the beach at night and watching the stars to be one of my happy places, and I hope you like this poem. In the veil of cosmic dreams, I gaze into the heavens spread, where stars weave tales of dreams unsaid. In the twinkle of their ancient light, I seek the answers lost in night. Each shimmer whispers of past to tread, while shadows of my past lay spread. Do echoes of my choices ring, or vanish like the winter's spring? The future dances, a canny wraith, a flicker of hope, a thread of faith. In this moment, questions arise. Time spins by with unblinking eyes. Will I, too, be a memory etched in dust, or bloom in the garden of life, if I trust? Each decision, like stardust, falls and sways, pondering what if, in a cosmic maze. Yet, in this chaos, a truth we'll find, in every heartbeat we leave behind. Let the stars be our guide, our chart. For every step taken, we rise, heart to heart. And when the clock ticks its final decree, we will understand we were always free. For in the grand design of our fate, all questions have beauty, and it's never too late. Jonathan Phelps. Since being on episode 32 of You're the Poet, I've been trying to focus on getting out of my comfort zone lately. I've started writing short stories and even some children's books written in iambic pentameter. I am currently working on an illustration portion of this with the publisher, and will let everyone know when they've been released. You can still see some of my writing on my Facebook page, Key West Poet, and you can buy my book on Amazon. It's called It Is What It Is, written by Jonathan Phelps, and is available in a soft and a hard copy. Thank you again, Matt and Phil, for inviting me to be part of this anniversary episode, and I hope everyone has a great day. Goodbye.
Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Grant from episode 33 of You're the Poet. I would like to thank Matthew and Phil Burgio for inviting me on their podcast, and I would also like to wish everyone a happy anniversary as we celebrate our first year in poetry. This poem is titled Mystery Winds. Who knows, no one knows where the wind goes. From where it came or where it goes, no one ever really knows. Picking up leaves and bits of paper as it goes, making sea waves and tornadoes, children flying kites and putting on shows, while the yellow sun scorched their little wet nose. Then September leaves and December snows. The wind grows and the wind goes over the ocean like a huge mouth that blows, sailing boats rocking to and fro's. But still the question remains like nails on my toes. Who knows where the wind goes? End of piece. Thank you and God bless.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to send in a submission and share what you've been up to and your poetry that you've written.
Not being facetious, but thanks for sharing.
Definitely, guys. Thank you for sharing. We definitely enjoyed that, and it's definitely been a pleasure putting this episode together. Can't believe it's been a year. It's definitely been an adventure, and we're really excited about this milestone for You're the Poet, and we definitely look forward to the future and the good things to come. And we are so thankful that our guests put enough credence in the podcast to come back and to continue to be a part of the community. So we thank you for that. All right, before we close things out, we had just a little bit of feedback for this episode. But for this, I'm going to turn it over to some audio feedback from Jonathan Phelps. And here's what he has to say about You're the Poet. If you listen to his episode that we did with him back in episode 32, we mentioned that he had written a poem for us, and I believe he's going to say a little bit about that. So here's some feedback from Jonathan Phelps.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start by expressing my gratitude for the invitation to be on You're the Poet. At first, I have to admit, I was a little hesitant. So many people are constantly reaching out with invitations and suggestions that are usually scammers looking for some way to get money out of me. I was pleasantly surprised, however, after listening to a few of the episodes. I was deeply moved by the relationship between Phil and Matt, the father and son duo that truly radiate warmth and kindness. Their bond is something truly special, and I find myself in awe of it. It's clear to me now that this is a community of kind souls, and I'm excited to not only share my own work, but to be part of what they have built, and also to hopefully build a friendship with Phil and Matt and all of you listening. Thank you for welcoming me, and I hope you enjoy the poem I've written for them. I have dubbed it A Community of Verse. In the heart of Zor Acres, where dreams take flight, with Matt and Phil Burgio and the poems they recite, listeners gaze upon a canvas where words come to play, our vision ignited to brighten our day. You're the Poet, the podcast, the call to the soul, uniting all hearts, helping the broken feel whole. In a world that feels fractured, their voices won't fade. They're crafting a haven where poetry's displayed. With hopes like wildflowers that sprinkle the ground, building bridges between hearts where passion is found. A blossoming community sharing laughter and tears, reciting the magic of words from the depths of our fears. Each stanza a vessel for stories untold, in the sanctuary of verse where emotions unfold. From sonnets to haikus, each voice finds a home In the rhythm of sharing, no one stands alone. So gather, dear dreamers, with ink on your hands, let the echoes of our voices weave through the lands. For the love of all poetry, let's lift our hearts high as we share in this journey beneath the vast sky. With work still in progress, let your spirits ignite, for poetry, like stardust, can make darkness feel bright. Together we wander through stanzas and rhyme, and love's tender embrace will transcend space and time. So here's to Zora Acres, and to all who still dream, for a world born of verses. Now hope has found its team. With Matt and Phil guiding, our quest will unfold, for you are the poet, and your story is gold. Written by Jonathan Phelps. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. We were really humbled by that poem and thought that was a great tribute to the podcast. We thank you for that. All right. As we wrap things up, we want to let our listeners know we are grateful that you've taken the time to tune in. We hope you're enjoying the poetry shared here. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. If you would like to support You're the Poet and what we are doing here, we've set up a patron site at buymeacoffee.com/you'rethepoet. Thank you for your support as we continue to grow. If you've written any poetry and you want to share it here, whether you just have an interest in poetry, consider yourself an amateur poet, or are a professional poet with published works, contact us to be a guest on a future episode. Please check out our website and various social media outlets to keep up to date with You're the Poet. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, you'rethepoet.com. Until next time, Phil, thank you for joining us.
Anytime. Let's go for another year.
All right. And thank you again to all of our listeners and to all of our guests. Goodbye.